This video is two really neat notions that were not quite long enough to be videos on their own. So let's just get to them. The first of our two tips today is about patching, which is my name for adding an element to a script to cover a hole or solve a problem. And usually that's a bad thing to do. Now, sometimes it's just a bit of dialogue. Why don't we just take the elevator instead of climbing up the side of the building? Because the elevator has unbeatable security cameras. Which can be fine, but often screenwriters are asked to add a whole scene to answer some question that somebody fears the audience might ask. So the story just stops while we rationalize or justify or explain to the audience. Now, when you offer someone a narrative, you are making an unstated promise that you've thought this through and you are not wasting their time. The audience is counting on you to give some kind of order or meaning. And if you're actually just throwing stuff in there for your own convenience that you're never going to use again because you're afraid they might ask a question, you are going to undermine their trust in the whole thing. So how do we avoid that? Well, first be on the lookout for warning signs of patching. Like, am I introducing a problem and solving it in the same scene? Usually that just feels crappy. Another red flag question you can ask yourself is, does this scene or bit of dialogue have any consequences? If no one reacts or adjusts, if nothing changes because of it, that's bad. And finally, is this really that serious a problem? Audiences forgive a lot. If they're involved in the characters and the story, they really don't worry that much about rules or even logic. So the patching very often calls attention to something that would have otherwise passed unnoticed. People in the industry tend to forget this. They think their response is the same as an audience, but they are very scared the script will fail, so they are hyper alert to rules and formula. Also, weirdly, because it completely contradicts this super analytical audience that they fear, they are constantly worried that the audience is stupid, and so they ask that everything be explained endlessly out loud. One good way to test if the problem you want to patch is really worth it is ask yourself, is this problem a concern for a character? If it is a concern for a character and it's important, in other words, if you really must patch, try to make the patch a dramatic incident. Make it something the characters have to figure out or accomplish or overcome. Make it reveal or develop a character. But mainly something should change when it happens. And try not to add characters or scenes for a patch. Use what you have. What characters or locations or elements already in the story can you use to solve this problem? Also, try to give it some flavor or style. Make it offbeat or funny or clever. And most important, keep patches small. Ideally then, at very worst, it will feel like we're in a car that's driving over some ice and the wheels spin a bit uselessly or it slides a little bit, but then it gets the traction back and we are back on our way. So that's it. That's patching. Now, tip number 2 is a meditation upon the reaction shot. A reaction shot is when you cut away from the action to someone else in the story who is seeing or reacting to what's happening. For directors and editors, these are great. They let you play with the pace of a scene or even change the order of things that happen inside it. So for any of you out there who want to be writer-directors, get reaction shots. But story-wise, it seems like this would be a terrible idea. I mean, isn't it pulling you away from the action? Strangely, no. Reaction shots have a powerful emotional effect. When you're watching shows and movies, start to notice how many times in physical action or even when people are just talking, the emotion gets stronger when they cut away to someone, even a minor character, reacting. The audience feels things in a more meaningful way when they see the effects on someone in the story. If you want us to feel a character is scary, have them scare someone in the story. If you want us to think a character is powerful, have them exert power over other characters. Now, in theory, that should be the main character, right? We're supposed to be on the hero's journey with them, and if they feel something, then we'll feel it. That's what everybody says is the way you write a story. But storytelling is actually much more complex than that, and reaction shots are telling us something important. Stories are driven by empathy, which is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. Empathy is not just a mushy-gushy emotional swamp. It's a dramatic necessity and a dramatic tool. Because putting yourself in the feelings of each character and thinking about what they want in each scene and what they're trying to do at any given moment is how you write great scenes. This is crucial, central, vital to any kind of story. It's the whole core of storytelling. What the reaction shot tips us off to is, if you only think about the emotions of the hero and the villain, you write a shallow, empty story. Everyone in a story has feelings, and those feelings matter to the story. So, the more you can put yourself and the audience into the feelings of all of the characters, the more complex and rich your story will be. If you want the audience to feel anything other than the most simple emotions, you will likely have to engage them with multiple characters who each have a legitimate need or want, but those needs are in conflict. So, what can we as writers learn from the reaction shot? Well, for one thing, do not write reaction shot of character X into the script itself. Do make sure that other characters are involved in the fate and feelings of your main characters. It's not an absolute rule. You don't always have to have someone reacting. It's more of just a really useful principle. Stories are about relationships. Scenes are about interactions between people. The more that all of those people feel, the better. All right, so there it is. 2 little useful tips for you to use. Go use them. Go write something. If you like this video and subscribe to this channel. Leave me comments, ask me questions in the comments section of this video, or go to writingforscreens.com. To be videos on their own, which is the wrong lines I'm saying this. They think their audience is the same as the response, which is backwards from what I meant to say. Audiences forgive a lot. Oopsie. This super or even change this shoot. So for any of you out there is yeah. I don't think this bit is going to work at all.